Welcome to Deer Head Studios. This is 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about living with multiple sclerosis. I'm your co-host, Nick, and with me as always is my good friend, Terry. We're so glad all of our fellow MS warriors and supporters are here with us, so let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back into the studio. We are having another warrior story, which are my favorite, as you know. Terry, my friend, how are you again?
Nick, I am doing great today. How are you?
Great. I'm doing fantastic. Summer is upon us. Fatigue is high. Stress is low. All good. Who we got with us today, Terry?
Awesome. So today's a friend of mine. For the last 2 years, we've been friends, and I've been following this guy on social media as well. And it seems like this guy is always doing something. He's always positive, even though he has MS, and there's a lot of shit going behind the scenes. But I'm so glad, man, you're on the show. Billy Wade, you're awesome. Please tell us your story. What's going on with you?
Well, first, thank you, Nick, and thank you, Terry, both of you guys for having me on the show. It means a lot. My story, where do I start? Where should I start?
Well, let's start with there was a moment in time where you didn't know you had MS, and then there was a moment that you did know. So let's start about the diagnosis.
Diagnosis was January 1 of 2012. I was 18 years old, so I was born on February 5th. So that year I turned 19, and I was in college, and I had been I was in college at the time, so I was researching a lot about it, and I was taking a human biology class, and I kind of got deep, like studying, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and I didn't know what MS was. I'd never been sick ever in my life, really, just a cold or, something like that, like normal sickness. You go take a Tylenol, orange juice, and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But then I went to see a neurologist because I used to go back and forth from school, which was in Virginia. So that's in Norfolk, Virginia, called Old Dominion University, in what's called Hampton Roads. And so it's close enough where I grew up, which is Leesburg, Virginia, Northern Virginia. And then, so I used to just go back and forth, and something was wrong one time, and I was walking to class, and I just lost a step, and I fell down the stairs, and this one guy helped me up, and I just kind of brushed it off, and everything was whatever. So later on down the line, let's say 2011, so winter 2011, I see a neurologist, and then I have to go back home for winter break, and then I have to call him on January 1st because winter break is the late December through like January 4th. So I call him on the 1st, and then my parents are there. I'm on speakerphone, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's MS," and I already kind of diagnosed myself somewhat, and then I guess I was right. So it was shocking, but I don't know really sickness, so I just kind of brushed it off. And my parents didn't want to go back to school. I already had like a pretty noticeable limp, and it was like that summer before. That's when the limp started, and I just brushed it off. I was just kept rolling with it, And then after that diagnosis, I just I'm sorry, talking a lot.
No, not at all. You're fine. I have a question for you. When
Sure.
when you fell down the stairs earlier, you said you fell down the stairs. A lot of people might be wondering, like, how did your leg, was it dragging? Did you just you just took a misstep? There was no carpet, right?
Oh, it was just a misstep. So it was outside of a pretty big lecture hall. So I was going, class let out, and then I was going downstairs outside because you have to like walk up to go into the building. So I'm walking down to get out, and I just missed a step. Like on the third step, these are kind of like longer steps too,
Mm-hmm.
and I just fell. It wasn't like so bad that I did get a cut on my elbow, but
Your ego, yeah. I'm sure.
ego, yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh man, did you get up easily? Like, you're okay, obviously.
When you fall in public, you try to brush it off and act like everything is cool, right? So Yeah, I did one of
I've
those
been
things.
there, man. I've been there.
Yeah.
Okay. Your family's on speakerphone. Did they know that you possibly could have MS? Did they know what MS was? Because, man, when I got diagnosed, I've never heard of it.
No, I'd never heard of it actually. Well, through like kind of personal research, I just was kind of going on WebMD and diagnosing myself like, oh, it feels like this, feels like that, you know. And then no, I never heard about it, and they never heard about it either. So we were just like in shock, kind of trying to figure out what the hell this thing is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Come to find out, no answers.
So the doctor gives
Okay.
you the diagnosis. He confirms your Sherlock Holmes WebMD research, and I'm sure the doctor ordered a whole bunch of tests, right? Lumbar
Yeah,
puncture,
yeah. The
spinal tap,
MRI,
yeah, the
yeah, spinal
MRI.
tap. Yeah, I did one of those. Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
what did they come out with? Did they give you a name for it, or they did they say relapse remitting? Did they say anything?
Relapsing, remitting. So right now I have secondary progressive. It's progressed. It's been over 10 years.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was RRMS at first. And it was like off and on. I would walk normally in like a short amount of time and then just like lose it. And I would sit down going to class and it would like my whatever it was would come back, like the normal would come back. And I was able to get to class, but if I'd
What,
walk, it was like a battery. It was weird. If I
what
didn't like
age?
charge it, if I didn't, I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead. I apologize.
I was
What
just saying, like,
what age were
uh,
you when you got
well,
diagnosed?
I was when I got diagnosed, I was 18, but
You
it
were
was my
18.
19th year of life. Yeah,
Okay.
Mm.
and yeah, 18 to be just plain and simple. I was 18.
Okay.
So you get the diagnosis over winter break. You end up going back to Dominion?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
no question. I
Okay.
went back. Just my parents asked me, some family members, oh, you should be careful, this and that. I was in school. I love, at the time I loved school. Just wanted to, that's you can't really replace that part of life.
Sure.
So I just went back and just went full force, and it kind of was ended up being detrimental.
How so?
I didn't take any medication the whole time. The first time I took medication was in 2015. I took Gilenya, if you guys are familiar,
Yep.
the pill.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I just brushed it off completely. I was just like work out but then, I just kind of lost my way there a little bit and started kind of experimenting with drugs and just going down a bad road, you know.
Hmm. And yep, trying to kind of a self-medicating kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because
Yep.
like the gym wasn't helping. That was my thing. Like basketball and sports, that was my like my escape,
Sure.
So and that wasn't there. And I was just like, damn, no sports, no like running. Like I can't run. That's crazy. I was going crazy. I was going insane. Yeah.
Did you think Gilenya was going to cure you when you were taking it, or did you know that it's just going to reduce the chances of you getting an attack?
Yeah, that's exactly what they
So
told
you
me.
knew that already. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you take that pill, do you have to be at a hospital when you take it or at a physician the first time and
Yeah,
they
the first
monitor?
time because I have to
Yeah.
monitor you. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
found that weird because it was a pill. And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
we need to monitor you to make sure your heartbeat or your heart doesn't, something like that, your heart pressure. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure your heart doesn't explode.
Yeah.
That's why I
Exactly.
mean, for lack of a better term.
I don't know. Yes, yes, you're right.
Now,
Exactly.
are you on any DMTs currently? Are you
No,
still
sir. I'm
on?
actually going to see my neurologist on June 8th. So we're gonna talk about where to go from here. I haven't seen a neurologist since I lived in Virginia 2 years ago. So I'm kind of just back in like college mode, and just kind of like
Right.
like trying to be tough about it. But that's not really good for us.
I was gonna say, how's that working out for you?
That's just not good.
Yeah,
It's not
because
good.
we all try to be really tough and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
Man, what I love about you is everything you post in your social media, you're a positive guy. I know you have shit behind doors going on, but like the other day we were talking, I'm sorry to say this, but you're like, yeah,
It's
I'm
cool.
taking a Toastmasters class. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
why are you putting me to shame? Relax.
No, you know why I'm doing that? Because MS took like my voice away, not literally, but like I spend a lot of time alone. If I'm not like focusing on work, I'm by myself. So I'm not really talking to people. I'm not really interacting with people. So like this right now is kind of like it's different for me. I feel like isolating myself, like it isolated me in college. It isolated me to the point like I didn't want to be around people that like the embarrassment about it when you're 19 years old and 20. And that's still like stuck with me. It kind of like scarred me. There were some like mental health issues I went through there and I never addressed it. So I just kind of like, I don't know, I go back, I slip back there a lot. So like the Toastmasters thing is so I can go out and have a place to like work on speaking to people again. And I kind of like lost like a couple steps there with that, you know?
Man, that's rough. You say that at 18, where, dude, me at 28, I was like embarrassed and I hid it from the world for like 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's tough, man. 18, I can't imagine. I was still a baby. I was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
me at
crazy.
33 was the same way. So, we have very similar
Ab-
paths because we all try to
Absolutely.
tough it out. Now, did you with the walking issues, did you require any kind of like mobility aid, like a cane or a walker back when you were 18?
Oh no, I
No,
didn't because that was like gonna add to the embarrassment, you know.
right.
I remember like my neurologist suggesting that, hey, come on, you need to do use a cane, it's gonna help this and that. And I just ignored it until maybe like after I graduated, it was like 2015.
Wow.
And then I started using a cane and I use it to this day.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram. I saw
Yeah.
saw a video you put up. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You don't want it to be visible. You want to be, you want to be the version of
Yeah.
you think you should be. Yeah, I'll
Right.
say right.
No, that's right. That's correct, man. You wanna be like you have a vision of what life is gonna be like, and then this thing happens, and it's just like crushes that. For me, I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure you guys can relate.
Mhm.
Um, it like crushes you to a degree of like I don't know. All these dreams kind of go away because we can't like just get up and go, you know?
The right word is grieving. We're
Yeah,
grieving our old life
constantly.
for sure. I, I used to love driving, man, and I don't think
Oh
people
boy,
recognize that, because I don't drive
yeah,
anymore. And I was a big
that's
driver.
rough, bro.
Yeah, man. And people just don't realize that. They're like, oh, he's okay. Because what am I going to
Yeah.
do? Go online and say, guys, I used to be a good driver. I can't drive anymore. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I do that too. I like try to live my glory days through
But,
social media, and I feel so corny about it, right?
dude, don't you
I'm
see
like,
what
yeah,
I
I used to
post?
do that.
I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. I post stuff and I'm like, look, this is me. And it's like 15 years already. Oh my God, I'm getting
Right,
old.
right. And it
Not you.
feels like it's yesterday.
Yeah, definitely.
Incredible. But Nick, you have like a family, you know? Like I'm not sure about you, Terry. Like Nick, you have like you were able to like create your own family. Like I must let you guys know I never prepared for that part of life because this happened like in the part of life where you're supposed to like, you know, you know what I mean? Like in your late teens
Yep.
and early 20s, you're like supposed to be Rico Suave somewhat. And I was like
Yeah,
I was trying to be that and it didn't really work out. It was like kind of that. And I like just crumbled there in the end. And so
sure.
now at like 31, I'm like, okay, I can do that. You know, I can do it. I have confidence for that, but like I just didn't prepare myself for like people are talking about kids and a wife and that's that's a responsibility, you know?
Yeah, a lot of times in a lot of the groups, we talk about feeling bad about a standard and a timeline that you set
Mm,
for yourself,
mm,
which
mm.
nobody else holds you to.
Yeah,
But it's a big thing personally. You're
yeah.
right. You're like, I'm supposed to have a serious relationship. I'm supposed to be looking towards the next steps and stuff.
Yeah,
And that's what MS does. It robs you of those years, whenever they
unfortunately.
start.
Yeah,
So, but fear not, you're still in the fight.
yeah.
You
I'm
still
still
have plenty of
kicking.
time.
I hope so, man.
But what kind
Yeah.
of speaking of family, what kind of support network do you have?
Oh, I'm just really blessed to have my mother and my father. I actually live with them right now. When they moved to Florida, I came down with them. I was living with them pretty much lived with them my whole life at this point. Like most of my life I've lived with my parents, but which is weird to like admit. I've never like said that to anybody. That's something you keep on the low, but I kind of
Right.
don't care anymore. At 31, it's like I've been through enough bullshit that like, I had to live with them. But yeah, that's my support. That's my team right there, my mom, dad.
Dude,
Good.
this is real talk. Like it's true. People aren't fortunate enough to have that. And anyway, this is real talk, man. I'm so happy that you say that. It's not admitting it, man. I know a lot of friends that live with their parents, but they end up switching it around and they're like, no, no, my parents live with me. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
who cares,
No,
man?
I live with them for sure.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to like I can't like think about me because like I'm not sure. I know there's like different ways to like manage, but I'm used to like even in college I still had like the zest to cook my own foods like when I had an apartment and whatnot. But to do that every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm not sure I have the energy for that at 31 or like at this stage of MS, I should say. It's not even an age thing. It's just like at this stage, it's like I get really tired, but I wake up tired.
And that
It's crazy.
I think that is a great point that often it gets overlooked, and you are exactly right. The number doesn't matter. It's this
I know,
where you're
right?
at, and that is so perfect. Ah, and you're right.
So
You can only do what you can do, and maybe it's not three
Yeah,
meals a day, right?
right, right. Exactly.
preparing meals, man, is just a full-time job. I don't know what to say. Like, anyway,
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? Watch what you say, because I'm sure your family might be watching this or sorry, listening to this. So I
Oh
want
no,
to
I
know.
hope they hear this.
No, yeah, yeah. But I just want to know how's their support? Do they realize what you're going through, or do they not understand? You know how we say you don't get it until you get it? How are
No,
they?
they were there every step of the way, except when they weren't there, and most of the time they're not there, right? Because like I have my own life. Like when I go out into the world, they're not there, you know? So like
Yep.
I just got this gym membership kind of up the street. And I always kind of not to like sound like I'm bragging, I always kind of like made sure I can drive still. Like I have to use a hand. It's like it's awkward if you see me drive, but it works.
I do the
And
same
I can
thing,
do
man.
it.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you set the
And I
hand,
yeah. And I can't drive, I have to drive automatic, But yeah, it's I forgot where I was going with that. That happens a lot too with MS. Like you start talking and then you lose your train of thought. Ah man, it's horrible.
You just summarized 60% of our entire show. Just losing our train of thought and wandering around. So you're totally fine.
At least we can all relate.
That's
I
it.
love that about this. It's great.
I
Because you
love how
can't really like in the world find people to relate to with like the sickness. Like I don't know, you guys. I listened to some of the other podcasts, and you guys were talking about when you guys like when you were coming out of your car, right? And people look at you like you can walk normally, but it's like I get that a lot too. And if I walk like at the gym, sometimes I put my cane down and I can use like reach out to like balance myself to the next like station or whatnot. And people are
yeah.
like, "Oh, he's lying," it's like
I
crazy.
I've done this, and I don't know if you heard this in the other episode, but have you ever brought your cane somewhere and you're dealing with someone, you put it against the wall, and then you forget it, and the guy
Yeah,
goes,
yeah,
"Hey, you forgot your cane." You're like, "I
yeah.
swear, I'm not faking it."
It's true, so true.
And another thing
Little
is,
mental
I,
apps.
I don't know if you noticed that he said, and I can drive. He had to point out that his car is now automatic,
Yeah,
because I was a standard driver too, a manual
love it,
driver,
love it.
and I was that too, man. And then I had to end up getting an automatic. And same thing,
Mhm.
man. And the same thing with my hand. You lift up your leg. Don't be saying
Yeah,
that
yeah.
publicly. But yes, I get it. And Nick's agreeing
Wait,
right now.
and
Oh
you
yeah.
use the left foot to
Yeah,
brake.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's our secret. Shh. I don't drive anymore, by the way. But yes.
So I will say I used to do that. I used to lift the right leg up and push the right leg down,
yeah.
and brake with the left until I highly recommend going for a driver evaluation for an adaptive set of
Oh,
steering
for sure.
controls, because
sure.
what a world of difference. Oh my goodness. Now I'm just like push pull. Oh, it's so easy.
Really?
Is there a
Really?
device you can buy on
Wow.
Amazon?
Yes.
I thought you had to go
Nice.
and get this installed professionally.
No,
Damn.
I will say this. There is a version of the hand controls that is not permanent. So it'll go car to car wherever you go.
Okay.
And the slips around the brake and it slips around the gas pedal, and it's just a handle and a lever. And you go to a parking lot with a lot of open space to practice. But yeah, you can buy it on Amazon. You don't need
Wow,
any
that's pretty
special.
cool.
Yeah, it's probably like $200, not even.
Wow. What do you call that?
I got to look that up. But
Man,
That's pretty cool.
if I
but
knew
yeah,
that existed, I would have been all over that.
yep, there are hand controls. Now,
That's
if it's
pretty cool.
just you driving your own car, there are things you can work with different insurances to get permanently mounted in
Mhm.
that vehicle, which are like push to go forward, back to brake, like
Oh
pretty
wow.
easy. But the
That's
one you get
pretty
on
cool.
Amazon is basically just like two long sticks that grab the pedals. So it's a little crude, but it works.
Nice.
So I guess if your legs were absolutely useless, those would be more effective. That's what you're
Right.
saying.
Even or they don't have to be absolutely useless. You could just be like just like us. You just it just hurts or it fatigues quick or it's just not the
Yeah,
safest way to do it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
So, I'm a
Yeah, I
big
think of
fan of
that too,
using
you know.
toys.
Like you wanna watch out for other people on the road. That's like the first rule of driving, really. And like if I'm handy capable, you know, like sometimes when I'm just sitting there, my leg freezes up, and I think about what if I'm driving and this happens, right? But at the same time, if I'm thinking about using the leg, it usually like has function and it can keep function. But I do think of that too, like because I'm not trying to hurt anybody else on the road. So these are good points. Like I'm definitely gonna consider these.
Well, like my neurologist said when I brought up the driving thing to him, he said, if you're constantly paying attention to how you're able to drive, you are a much better driver than everyone who's texting and driving.
That's true. That's a great point, actually.
Are you afraid of losing your license? Are you afraid someone's going to say, "Hey, you can't drive anymore"?
Me.
Mm.
Yeah.
That
Oh
would, that
yeah.
would hurt me. That
Oh
that
yeah.
that'll crush.
I still get my license every time I have to renew it. I just do it online,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
sucker, but I'm not going to drive anyway.
Oh, true.
Again, it goes to
True.
ego.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
We
all
all
about
have
my
that
ego.
ego,
Yes,
Yeah.
independence. Like everybody
Yeah.
feels that.
because here in Ontario, you can get an identification card, which is the same thing as a license. It looks exactly like a license, but it's not a license. And people are
Yeah.
like, "Why don't you just go get that?" I'm like, "Shut up! I like my license."
Yeah. They try to take the like the fun away for us. It's crazy. At least I can. You're like I can't drive, but let me have the freaking thing, man. Let me have the like. Let me feel like it for the
Yeah,
ego.
exactly.
Crazy.
Totally. Yeah, man. So we talked about you have support, you know what I mean? What about your friends? When you before diagnosed, after diagnosed, do you have any friends that really understand what you go through? Because I lost a lot of friends. So did Nick. Yeah,
Oh
go for
boy,
it.
I lost tons of friends, but I'm thinking if these people were really like friends with you or like down for you, then you don't lose those kind of friends. They're always there. It's just distance and like especially at the I don't know, people are in their late 20s, people are like finding themselves, right? They're kind of focused on, like we were talking about the marriage, the house, the mortgage, the what, trying to position their life even more where they want to go. So a lot of my friends are at that stage. So we're kind of like distant. So we don't talk much because they have like a fiance or a wife or kids. So it's cool, but like they reach out every now and then. Um, like the key friends, you have like 2 to 5 key friends.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
So
squad.
like it's cool.
Yeah.
And they live kind of far away. I got one buddy from college. He lives in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm in Central Florida. So which is about like an hour, 2 hours away. So, but we still haven't seen each other. It's just kind of just
Yeah.
Dude, don't feel bad. I haven't spoken with I had the same college roommate for 3 years, and we haven't spoke since the day I moved out, and that was 30 years
yeah,
ago. So it happens. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's just
No
the
hard
same.
feelings.
Yeah, and life, life just does what it does, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
And you're making new
Uh,
connections, from MS, which is
exactly.
funny,
Yeah,
right? You're making new friends that you would never have made before. Like I met Nick, we've become
it's
like
true
brothers. And I feel like you and I are going to be brothers. Like I
for
see you all
sure.
the time and I reach out to you. You always reach out back to me. I'm like,
Yeah,
man, this
man.
guy is
I
cool.
appreciate
I just don't want to burden your life.
you. Yeah, I wouldn't. No, it's not. It's not a burden, but I wouldn't have guessed that you're from Canada, man.
Why is that? Where do you think I was from?
No, when I heard your voice, like I
Yeah.
don't know, like there's a certain way that Canadians speak. You guys have like a twang about you. Not a twang, but like you can tell a Canadian's a Canadian, right?
Yeah. We're from Toronto. Toronto sounds like New York a little bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
somewhat.
hope no Canadians take any disrespect to that. I'm sure no one will. But
Oh, I hope not. I meant that with love, man.
don't worry.
I
Yes.
meant that with love.
Yes. We do the A. We do that. But I think
Yeah,
the UK do it too. I've heard them say A, and I'm like, yo, that's Canadian. Don't be doing that. Anyway,
yeah.
it's about time we go on to the next topic. And if you didn't understand that, that's a Canadian thing. You don't say
jeez.
about a boots. Anyway,
Oh, a boot. Yeah, a boot. Oh,
I'm just glad we have somebody from the States here on the show, finally.
oh, for sure. I keep hearing like you're the only, and in the group, like we're the only Americans, right?
Mhm.
he's talking about the support groups that we all go to.
Yep.
It's like a big
Yeah,
family of
They pick on me a
Canadians,
yeah,
lot.
a few Americans.
yeah.
We're like, oh, it's 29 degrees Celsius. And you guys are like, what the hell? What is that? Hey, Google, what's 29 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I- Every
that's
show I
funny.
have to do math, Terry. Every
Yeah,
show you're making me do math.
that's great.
So what are you keeping yourself busy with these days?
Me,
Yeah.
um, I'm looking for a new job. Like, I'm an insurance agent, but I'm independent, and I've come to find out over the last year, I did pretty shitty. You know, I'm supposed to be putting like my own business together, and I did
Mhm.
pretty shitty. So I'm just like, maybe I need more structure to kind of point myself, give me like a structure in my mind, and then branch back into what I was doing. So I'm just looking for like a kind of corporate position so I can have like a sort of schedule to go to and see if I can handle that, like that structure, that 9 to 5. And I'm thinking I'll struggle a lot, but I'm willing to try it, you know. And plus, I'll maybe get some more extra money to move out sooner, but just kind of focus on that really in the gym
Yeah, it's a constant rebuilding phase, right? Always trying to
constant.
rebuild yourself, trying to reposition. And then you think you got it, and then something else pops up. And then
Yeah,
it's ugh,
it's
constantly
shitty, man.
constantly adjusting to who you think you used to be.
It's horrible, man.
Man, that's why I
It's
have
horrible.
huge anxiety because of that, the
Yeah,
unknown. So I'm always trying to
yeah.
stay on top of everything so that the
Hmm.
unknown doesn't bring me back a step. Man, if you can just put your ego to the side and not care and stay comfortable. So that means if you got to stay with your family, whoever, as long as you can, man, just stay comfortable and
Yep.
shit will work
Yeah,
out,
but
man.
sometimes it's uncomfortable, like all my cousins and my sister's like doing really well, for herself, like extremely well. And there's always been this like weird competition with us. She's older than me. She's a year and a month older than me. But there's been like a competition. Like I was playing soccer and then she started playing basketball. Then I want to play basketball to like prove, but it's not cutthroat. But it's like once on January 1st, 2012, that year in 2012, I like decided I'm not part of like that race anymore. Like with normal people, like it's not fair. That's why they separate handicapable people in the Olympics for the Special Olympics from like the normal people who got the regular Olympics. That's why these things exist. They can't these people cannot compete together. So I felt that way. Not from an athletic standpoint, just from like a life standpoint. This is like reality. Our lives. We can't fully compete with other people. I hate to even say that, but it's kind of true.
You're
So I
right.
kind of like I'm dealing with that living with like my parents and like the extended families like graduating and doing this and that. And like they think I'm like I don't know, I feel like they think I'm jealous. I don't want to like talk about my family like that, but there's like that weird thing. And I'm just like if I was on my own, I could just like escape to my own my own place, my own abode and just relax and cut myself away sometimes and come visit when I miss you guys, you know? Because that's how it's supposed to go, right?
I totally understand what you're saying, but if I don't want to speak for your family also, but I can
Sure.
kind of hear them saying it's not your job to think for them, so you
Yeah, they
can't
should tell me
think what
that.
they're going to think, right? I kind
Yeah,
of
you're a father for sure.
because we all do it. We all
Yeah,
do it.
you're
We all,
you're
you
right.
know,
You're right.
so cut yourself some slack.
Yeah, I'm really hard on myself too, like extremely, and that's not fair to myself, but I need to work on that too, but I don't know any other way because that's kind of what got me here, you know. There
Mhm.
were times there where I feel like I need to share this, and I think like 2016 to 2018, I was like I had a part-time job with a government contractor, and I was like at this job contemplating suicide. Like, how do I kill myself? Like seriously, like that's what I did for like almost 2 years at work, and I would get off work, and I had a friend that actually died last year. Yeah, last year, and he we would just be smoking weed. We'd just be hanging out. Like, but that was my release because that like kept me for whatever reason, man. Like, I hate to give it to weed, man, but it's not weed. It was the friendship. It was like the leisure time that I just needed like a connection with somebody. I was so lonely, and I was spending a lot of time alone outside of work. It was work and loneliness, and I'd go home and I'd feel like a failure, like with my family sitting right there, and like everything was just like that was a rough time in my life. I mean that what I'm talking about is like there's so much in here like I don't matter in this story that I'm trying to talk about. The MS, like so much happened, man. Like I'm actually talking too much. Like but as far as the MS, man, um it drove me to that point of like I don't want to go on life with this. I just like how do I stop this? Because they can't stop it for me. Nobody has answers to stop this, reverse this. They told me go to church and do this and that and everything, and like I'm praying, I'm very devout, like in these times back then. And now I'm like back, not in the church, but like believing in like a higher power, stronger faith. But it's like I don't know that's I'm guessing it was like 2016 to 2018, maybe 19. I struggled with like desire to live. And I hope you guys didn't ever struggle with that, but that shit is nuts, man.
Yeah. Well, I can honestly say that I wish I hadn't done it either. I wish I hadn't struggled with it either. And Terry,
Not as bad as you two. I mean, I had a battle. I really did. I was an angry guy, but I never, I would say it because I'm tired of it, but I never contemplated it the way you two did. So, dude, thank you so much for sharing that.
yeah, I
Like
know it's not
tons,
easy.
tons of people, and I hate to say it, but in Canada, that's why there's that whole program for assisted suicide. And please, please, I cannot believe that exists. But
Yeah,
it's
we have
it's
it too. It's like I forgot what the number is, but about that, man, I was like in a room because I used to live in my uncle's basement back in Virginia, and so I'm like thinking about it one night, right? and I'm on Facebook. I used to be on Facebook a lot, like looking for like I don't know what I was looking for. I was so lost, like looking for love or I don't know what. But anyway, I'm like, I think that night I was like, this is the night that I'm just gonna do it. So I'm like, pretty hammered, drunk, and I walk out of the or limp out, whatever you want to say. Like I make my way out of the back room door because it's like a basement with like a door in the back. So I get out of the
Yeah,
door,
yeah.
and like before I get out of the door, there's like a suicide in one of those commercials,
Hmm.
and I like called the number and I sat on the deck instead of like thinking about that. I like those things work, that it's certainly there for a reason. And I called that number, and like I didn't really, I felt better, someone to talk to. That's not your family. That's embarrassing.
Dude, on that note, please, I'm gonna give the phone number for the Canadian one. Sorry not to put you on the spot, Nick, either, but it's real talk, and you're right, they help when you need it. And the number in Canada is 1-833-456-4566. Okay, and we'll get you the one for the States in a second.
This one is 988. You
Yeah, it's
can
easy.
text 988.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Wow, you guys have okay.
You never know when you're gonna need it, Terry. You got to have it memorized.
Yeah.
Chew that.
And Billy, we talk a lot about that, and I can't imagine I can't imagine how unbelievably hard it is to share that story. So thank you for sharing that story with us.
I appreciate that.
And the more people share their very real struggles with mental health, especially on this show, the more people who listen hopefully will take away that they are not alone and there is help. And it is one of the top two things to talk about that go hand in hand with the MS. I would say number one is the physical, conditions and ailments and struggles and stuff like that. And then number two is mental. So of course we talk about it a lot. I'm really glad you called that number. I didn't know you then, and I haven't really known you up until like last week when I started following your Instagram. But
Yeah.
we certainly wouldn't be having this time if you didn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, man. I see a lot of, especially like, I don't know. I don't want to take it. Are we sticking with the MS? And there's a lot of
it's your show, brother.
there's a lot of, I see a lot of, in America, I think worldwide, there's a huge conversation about mental health, about people struggling with just like, I think it's acceptance or like accepting themselves or like people accepting them for who they are or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure what other people can struggle with, and I'm not trying to take it away from them, but like that is just like an overall just kind of umbrella term going on right now that didn't exist. Like even in the time I'm talking about in 2018, this stuff didn't exist. This is people like talking about this stuff now, like people struggling. That used to be reserved for veterans, like war veterans coming home. I actually saw one therapist, and he told me that like I was so depressed that I like my symptoms mimicked like a war veteran, like someone from that came back from war, and I was like, but that has to do with like other things that happened. I was robbed at gunpoint my freshman year of college, the very first semester, and then all this stuff piled on with the MS. It was like a whole bunch of stuff that happened with the MS, and I'm like developing MS as the years go on, and I'm just like, this mental health thing is worth talking about. You're right, Nick. Like you're absolutely right. Because people are struggling right now.
Do you believe stress is a factor of MS by any, or did it exaggerate? I can never say this word, so someone else is going to say it. Exaggerate MS. You see,
That
that's
works.
that. You leave that in there. Anyway, has it enhanced your MS symptoms?
Yeah, every time I'm stressed out, like I'm stressed out right now because just looking for a new job can be stressful and money's kind of tight and I don't know, I'm kind of competitive, so I like to compare sometimes, which I've really stopped doing because it's not, fair to compare yourself to like somebody who's normal. It's kind of not fair, anyway, like yeah, the stress is definitely makes me like um it does make the symptoms like worse. It exacerbates everything, but at the same time, I'm a huge believer about the gym. And like that physical struggle and that mental struggle, it like balances out the stress for me.
How about that Florida Heat? Does that play? Does the
It's actually
Florida Heat
beautiful right
play?
now, man.
Is
It was
it?
like
Okay.
82 degrees. It was a nice breeze, but what's it, May 28th? Yeah, next month is gonna the Florida Heat's gonna, it's coming. It's creeping up, man.
Okay. And what is does that play hell with your legs?
Mm, not quite. It
No.
can. If I'm out there standing for too long, like I can't stand for too long. Maybe for like 5 minutes, maybe. I'm just saying 5 minutes because it sounds cool. Probably less than that. Yeah, the heat definitely, but all right, the heat melts me and the cold freezes me because in Virginia where I grew up, um, it's we get all four temperatures, like extreme though, all four temperatures, all seasons, excuse me, extreme temperatures. So like the cold freezes me out from what I remember. The extreme heat melts me, and autumn is the best because it's just cool. Spring is like just out of winter, so those are my preferred seasons. Without MS, it was like that, so it's cool.
I'm gonna guess because you've never heard of MS when you got diagnosed that you don't have any family members that were diagnosed with MS.
Yeah, I think on my mom's side actually, but
Oh,
this person this is like it's like generational. So maybe like two, three generations back on my mom's side, this woman, she had MS. She was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So they found it like, I guess like, we found it on my mom's side. So it's like somewhat hereditary, maybe. I'm not sure if the mother can pass that on to the child. We don't know even where it comes from.
yeah.
Yeah, the research and all that stuff gets updated pretty much weekly. So who knows?
Mm,
All we know is like all that's known is they don't know exactly where and they don't know exactly why. So
yeah, yeah.
lucky us, right?
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It makes life fun.
You got a lot of the you got to love the amount of maybes, possiblies, and could be's you get from your
Oh yeah.
doctors.
We're working on it. That kind of that's like don't worry about it. We're working on it. It's rough. But I appreciate the efforts.
So what motivates you to keep going every morning? So like you wake up and you kind of know what's ahead of you that day. Put me into the mentality of Billy.
Mm, damn, what motivates me? That's a great question, man. I don't think about motivation. I'm a doer. Like I have to be like I think I held on to my like started walking at what like 1, 2 or whatever, and then got diagnosed at the symptoms really started when I was 16, but got diagnosed 3 years later, 2, 3 years later. So like I held on to that. I held on to the sports. I held on to the running. I love to run, loved to run. I held on to that mentally, thinking that if I remember one day, it's just gonna come back, which is not real, but like that kind of like I guess is my motivation. Also my family. I just think of like where I should be in life, even though we're trying not to be hard on ourselves, but I think of where I should be and it just kind of like pushes me and I think of like who I would be without it. And I just try to chase that, knowing that like it's a ghost, it's like I'm reaching for this fictitious thing, but like it's something to chase. I heard Matthew McConaughey he made a speech one time, and one of the things he said like you should always have something to chase, and I held on to that. I was like, yeah, for sure. If you don't have like a purpose, and that I'm chasing this like version of myself.
All right, all right, all right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Terrible. It's become the Matthew McConaughey show. By the way, this guy said is that exacerbate like nothing. And here I
No,
am
exacerbate.
exacerbate. Whatever, guys.
Yeah, that was
I'm
it. Yeah,
yeah, okay. I'm okay with
that's
anyone
good.
shaming me. It's okay. Anyway, Billy, is there anyone you want to, I'm putting you on the spot now, but is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to my family, my direct, my direct relatives, so my mom, my dad, my sister, um, and also my extended family. We don't really talk much. I see them out there on Instagram, but doing their thing, and I hear about it, doing great things, graduations and babies and all this. So I want to shout them out, and I want to shout out anybody, two more people. These are really two cohorts, two groups. Our group, which is MS, people with multiple sclerosis, or we can just say autoimmune diseases in general. There's estimated 1.2 million people in America with autoimmune diseases. Around 400,000 of those, I'm guessing, a little bit over that are MS patients. So I want to shout you guys out, shout us out, because we have a story. We should have, we deal with these things and we get kind of overlooked, kind of just thrown to the side sometimes, I feel like. And we're human too. We deserve, a spot at the table too. And the second group I was gonna shout out was people struggling with mental health. Just stay in the fight and don't give up, because tomorrow is always better than today.
So that's great, man. What he's talking about are these support groups that you guys can contact MS Society in the States or in Canada, and they should be directing you to these groups that you can attend. And they're awesome because it's a big family of MSers, and we all know what we're going through. And there's all sorts of MSers, guys in wheelchairs, guys who look normal, but they're not because it's a hidden illness, right? As you know that. And even if you're using a cane, it's still hidden because they don't get it until they get it.
Yes. Was I not supposed to say those statistics because I'm not affiliated with the MS Society?
Oh, man.
Neither are we on this show. So all good.
I'm just
Dude,
making sure,
I just bring up their name because it helps people. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah,
representative of
gotcha.
the MS Society in any
Gotcha,
way.
for sure.
Terry, it's been great again. Billy, an absolute pleasure meeting with you and speaking with you today.
Likewise.
Unbelievable story. And if it's okay, if we want to, if we can have you back on at some point, I would love that.
Sure, me too. This was great. Very therapeutic, and you guys are great people. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Nick. It was nice to meet you.
Awesome,
Terry, stay funny.
man.
Sense of
Funny.
humor is great.
Funny looking. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, Terry, another fantastic Warrior story, my friend.
Man, is it going to be another week before I get to talk to you?
No, I'll see you. We'll talk soon, brother.
Okay, fine. So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4T-below-zero.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are, for Nix, it's NIX_V713. Or for Terry, it's what's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.